For many years, Daniel lived paycheck to paycheck, not because he was lazy, not because he didn't try. Every morning before the sun even rose, he was already up, already moving, already preparing for another long day. And every night he came home tired, but never satisfied. Every month followed the same pattern. Money came in, relief for a moment. Then the bills arrived, rent, food, transport, unexpected expenses that never gave warning, and before he even realized it, everything was gone. One night, Daniel sat at his small kitchen table. The room was quiet, too quiet. He looked at what remained of his money, almost nothing. And for the first time, he didn't blame his job. He didn't blame the economy. He asked a different question. Why does it feel like I'm running, but never moving forward? He wasn't lazy. That was never the problem. The problem was quieter than that, hidden. He had effort, but no structure. Movement, but no direction. A few days later, Daniel visited an older man in his neighborhood. The man wasn't flashy, no expensive clothes, no loud success. But there was something about him, calm, stable, prepared. His home had peace, the kind of peace you cannot fake. Daniel sat with him and asked, "How did you become so stable?" The old man smiled, not quickly, like someone remembering a long journey. "I wasn't always like this," he said. "In fact, I was once poorer than you." Daniel leaned forward, because that didn't make sense. Nothing about this man looked like struggle. But the old man continued, "My life didn't change because I earned more. It changed because I learned one discipline." Daniel expected something complex, a strategy, an investment secret. Instead, the man said simply, "Every time money entered my hands, I gave it direction." Daniel frowned. It sounded too simple. So the man explained, "Most people treat money like water. It flows in and it flows out. They spend first. They save what remains. But discipline does the opposite. Discipline decides first and spends later." The old man reached for a small, worn notebook. Not expensive, not impressive, but used. Every page filled. He opened it and showed Daniel something simple. Needs, savings, giving, growth. Nothing complicated, but everything intentional. "This," the man said, "is where my life changed. Not when I had more, but when I started managing what I already had." Then he said something Daniel would never forget. "A man becomes a provider long before he becomes wealthy. He becomes one the moment he takes responsibility for what is already in his hands." That night, Daniel returned home. Same house, same table, same income, but a different mindset. He sat down, took a notebook, and for the first time in his life, he didn't ask, "What is left to spend?" He asked, "What must this money do?" The numbers were small, uncomfortably small. It almost felt pointless. But discipline does not begin with abundance. It begins with decision. The first month was hard, very hard, saying no to things he used to say yes to, adjusting habits, feeling the discomfort of control. The second month wasn't easier, but something changed. Awareness. For the first time, Daniel could see where his money was going. Not guess, see. Months passed, quietly. No dramatic breakthrough, no sudden wealth, just consistency. Unexpected problems still came. Life didn't suddenly become smooth. But Daniel was no longer surprised by everything. He was prepared for something. And slowly, something shifted. Not just in his finances, but in him. He became calmer, more confident, more in control. Savings began to grow, slowly then steadily. Debt started to shrink. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt something unfamiliar. Peace. Years later, Daniel sat at a different table, a larger one. His children sat around him. Food filled the table. Not excess, but enough. More than enough. The bills were paid. The home was stable. But more importantly, there was no anxiety in the room. only security. Daniel looked around quietly and smiled because he understood something now. His life did not change in one moment. It changed in many small ones. Small decisions, repeated daily, repeated monthly, repeated consistently. The transformation was not loud. It was quiet. And that's why most people miss it, because they are looking for big changes, while discipline works in small ones. As it is written, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Daniel finally understood. He did not become a provider when he had more money. He became a provider the moment he became a steward. Because a man does not become responsible when life gives him more. Life gives more to the man who is already responsible. And it all began with one quiet discipline.